You know that feeling, right? You've got this amazing idea at work, something you are truly fired up about, and you watch it just slam into an invisible wall. Well, that wall has a name: organizational resistance. And today, we're not just going to define it, we're going to learn to speak its language, because that resistance, oh yeah, it is trying to tell you something incredibly important.
I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. That project that was going to change everything, that super smart new process. And then, nothing. It just stalls. It runs right into that wall of, but we've always done it this way. So what is that wall actually made of? Well, that's exactly what we're about to figure out. Okay, first things first, let's put a name to this friction. When a project grinds to a halt, what are we really, truly dealing with?
At its heart, resistance is basically a survival instinct. When a big change makes people feel uncertain, or maybe a little threatened, or just plain unconvinced, their defenses shoot right up. It's not about them being difficult just for the sake of it. It's a totally natural human response when it feels like the ground is shifting right under their feet.
Now here's the thing. Resistance doesn't always show up with a megaphone. Sometimes it's just a whisper. We all recognize the loud version, right? The open complaints, the arguments, but the quiet version, this covert resistance, that is the silent killer of great ideas. It looks like apathy or missed deadlines, or my personal favorite, the super enthusiastic, yes, of course, followed by absolute crickets. And that's the one you really have to watch out for.
So, what if we've been looking at this whole thing completely backward? What if resistance isn't some obstacle we have to crush, but actually a signal we need to listen to? This next idea, honestly, it's a total game changer. It is time for a major shift in how we see this.
And this right here, this is the absolute heart of the matter. It's almost never about the change itself. It's about the loss. The feeling that you're losing control, or losing your sense of competence, or even your sense of belonging. So when you see resistance, you're not seeing a roadblock. You're seeing a person who's afraid of losing something fundamental to their work life.
So from now on, stop thinking of resistance as the enemy. Start thinking of it as a diagnostic tool. It is the check engine light for your big project. And if you can just learn to read the codes, it will tell you exactly what needs fixing.
All right, so if resistance is data, it's time we learned how to read the darn thing. Let's put on our analyst hats for a minute and start decoding these signals.
You know, you can think of resistance kind of like an iceberg. The part you see sticking out of the water, the overt stuff, the arguments and protests, that's actually the easy part. You can see it, you can deal with it. It's what's happening below the surface, the hidden, covert non-compliance. That's the stuff that can sink the whole ship. That's where the real danger is.
Now let's slice this another way. Active versus passive. This isn't just about whether you can see the resistance. It's about the energy behind it. Active resistance is when someone does something. They argue, they criticize. Passive resistance is when they don't do something. They withdraw, they withhold ideas, they forget to show up. One is an action, the other is inaction. And here's where it all just clicks into place. You can actually map these behaviors. Overt active, super visible. That's your loud protester. But what about covert active? That's the person quietly spreading rumors. Then there's overt passive, the person who complains constantly. And finally, the trickiest of all, covert passive. That's the apathy, the person who suddenly just ignores every request. Knowing which of these four quadrants you're in is absolutely crucial.
Okay, diagnosis is complete. Now it's time for the treatment plan. Let's open up the proactive playbook and talk about strategy. What do we actually do about it?
You know what they say? The best defense is a good offense. To get ahead of resistance, you need a four-part game plan. First, you have to understand, who is this actually affecting and what are they afraid of losing? Second, you have to connect. Build trust with total transparency. Third, amplify. Find your champions and let them help carry the message. And fourth, equip. Give your people the tools and training they need to succeed. I mean, you can't just ask someone to swim and not teach them how, right?
But let's be real. Sometimes the fire has already started. What then? First, don't panic. Your number one job is to listen. I mean, really listen. Understand the why behind their no. Show them you've heard their concerns, and then bring in your champions to help you bridge that gap. Formal consequences? That should always be your absolute last resort.
And if you want to get tactical, there are some really great tools you can put in your toolkit. A stakeholder map, for instance, isn't just a fancy chart. It's like a political map of your organization that shows you exactly who you need to talk to and influence. These aren't just corporate buzzwords. They're your navigation tools for the human side of change.
So let's pull this all together. We've defined what resistance is, we've figured out how to decode its signals, and we've built a playbook. Now it's time to really lock in this new, powerful mindset.
So please, stop fighting the friction. Start using it. Resistance is not a roadblock, it's a roadmap. It points you directly to the potholes in your plan. It is screaming at you exactly where trust has been broken, where communication is failing, or where your big story just isn't landing. So, the next time you feel that pushback, that friction, don't just see a problem, see a question. And that question is simply this: what is this resistance trying to tell me? Because the answer, well, it might just be the most valuable data you ever get.